Where's the music?
Here we go. I do my hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? Hair toss, check my nails. Baby, how you feeling? When I wake up in the morning, love, keep it moving, yes, Lord. And the sunlight hurts my eyes. And something that I wanna have, keep it moving, yes, Lord. Very heavy on my mind.
You love it, though. You love it, right?
I love it because I love both of these songs.
I could listen to the whole thing.
Let's just listen to the entire thing.
You're scared of
And let's
me
just let people
interviewing
watch
you.
us do this.
Feeling good as hell. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day.
I love a good mashup.
Feeling good as hell. Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day.
You know what?
What?
You know how the mashup really kind of started?
How?
They don't give enough credit to the show Glee. They were like Glee was really the first show to start doing mashups, and their mashups are still really, really good. And then everyone started doing mashups. I mean, I might be wrong, but that's kind of where I felt
That's the first time I remember it. No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you on Glee. I had a knack for it when I was a little kid. And I had a big, ugly, out-of-tune piano in the basement. And I would go try to play songs that I heard on my mom and dad's radio. And it would always inevitably end up sounding like something else, right? I think I might have created the mashup.
I think you might have.
I might have.
Well, everybody, welcome to is it Wednesday? I don't even remember what day it is.
It's Wednesday.
Wednesday. We've been gone for so long, and I'm so sorry about that. I was in New Jersey visiting my dad. My dad recently had surgery because he had cancer. He had a tumor in his kidney. He went in for I don't want to say a routine. He went in for a routine kidney stone.
Yeah.
No, he went in for a kidney stone to get the kidney stone taken out, and they found a tumor in his kidney that apparently had been there, but they could tell by the size, for like 4 years.
No kidding.
4 years.
And he's super healthy, right?
Oh, my dad is like, listen, my dad is 180 pounds. He's 5'11". He's just turned 74, and
Wow.
he is in great shape. He exercises, he takes care of himself. He eats right. But the funny thing is, I mean, it's not funny, but I said to my dad, I was like, this was your body's way. Your body's like, listen, we have this tumor and you're not going to feel it.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do to get you? What are we going to do to get the doctors to see it? Oh,
Yeah.
I know what we'll do. We'll give you a kidney stone because that hurts
in
like
our
hell.
immediate vicinity that's in our control.
Right,
We're
like
just
what's
going to
in the
start
same,
messing
like,
stuff up.
yeah, what's in the same general area.
Yeah.
And so they go in, and of course, it's scary, right? Like,
course.
I live 800 miles away from my parents. We've had a pandemic. I haven't been able to see them. The plan was when I moved to Michigan to have them come up here every several months and then us go down there because it's such a super quick flight. It's an hour, right?
Yeah.
But that kind of screwed it up. So I went. It was a quick trip. I wanted to hang out with my dad.
And he's
doing
good.
oh my God, he's doing so well. It's
Good.
crazy. Like you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know he just had an entire organ removed.
So weird.
He's doing so well. We had a good time. My dad and I are very close. We watched a bunch of horror movies together because that's our thing. We hung out on their back patio. I read an entire book in 2 days. Well, we're going to get to that, right? Because you're going to interview. You have a very special guest today, right?
I have an extremely special guest today.
But let's not get to our guest yet.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to you for a few minutes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
Because we're going to talk to this guest for 45 minutes, and I want to talk to you. But
Can
anyway,
I compliment you?
Hold on a second. We didn't do I'm Nick Baldwin. Thanks for being here. My awesome co-host, Jessie Newquist. How are you, Jessie?
I'm good. Hi.
Awesome. How's your day? A week?
So far, so good. My week, amazing. Oh, I wish there were
Really?
2 of them. Yeah.
Because the text that you sent me about drinking whiskey didn't seem like it may have been that amazing. At least
It
maybe
was
that.
celebratory.
No, just yeah.
It was celebratory. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. So I'm glad you had a great week.
Thank you.
Anything we should know about
Can-
that I haven't seen you in a week?
Well, I know. I have to ask you about your T-shirt because I just really love it.
Oh, the T-shirt. If you guys are watching, this is a phrase that Jessie came up with.
I hope.
You did. You don't even remember. That's how
I remember
brilliant you
saying
are.
it on the show.
You said it on the show.
I hope that I coined this.
Well,
I
I don't know anybody else who said leaders are hope dealers. I don't know anyone who else said leaders are hope dealers. And I said, that's got to be on a shirt. And so there's a phoenix.
You just made it happen.
Yeah, Phoenix is actually a representation of hope, of a new birth. Yeah. You know, I looked up what is an image that represents hope, and it was Phoenix. So I put hope dealer on a shirt, and I love it's so soft. These shirts are so
they're
soft.
so soft. I do, and I do believe that leaders are hope dealers. We show people what's possible and create opportunity from there. You can't create opportunity. You can create all the opportunities you want in the world, but if no one sees the possibility, it's kind of about vision for me. So
if you go to commanderswag.com, you can get a hope dealer shirt.
I thought we ordered seriously like 12 of them. I will follow up on that.
Yeah, you should really do that. You should.
I will definitely. So tell me more about New Jersey.
Well, you know, if you guys don't know, I'm originally from New Jersey. I moved to Michigan 3 years ago. Wow, it was actually yesterday was 3 years to the day that we closed on our house in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. May 28th was 3 years to the day that I moved.
Wow.
But my wife didn't come until a month later because we had to close on the house. So I was in Michigan for a month with Gus.
That's really exciting.
And she was, And so, you know, now we're here and settling in. I always joked about how I would go kicking and screaming moving back to Michigan moving to Michigan for the first time for me and then second time for Anne. But now I am not only the owner of one house, but I'm the owner of 2 houses in Michigan.
You know what?
So
it's funny.
I guess I'm planted here.
We talk about this on every show since you closed on the lake house. No, I'm just
I didn't close on the lake house yet.
It's just another invite.
I closed on the lake house on July 2nd. But I'm
coming.
But I mean, the loan is approved. The appraisal is good. So it's like, you know, once that happens,
you're good.
Yeah. I mean, it's yours.
It's so awesome. So giant win. We had a huge win, 2 of them really this weekend. An extremely talented young baseball player. And this is a parent thing. Parents, y'all get this. You get this. So not only does little pitcher only 15-year-old Brady step in, was called from the bullpen with bases loaded, super, super high pressure situation. The game is on the line. Runner on third. If he scores, we lose. So very high pressure situation. He's a junk baller. He throws all kinds of confusing stuff, sits people down, and we run off the field. Now, that's not actually the special part. That is a very special part. But the really cool part is that
better.
It gets better.
Wow.
This kid had set, this is one of the first serious goals that he set for himself. He wanted to hit 71 miles an hour. And he did it. And we saw he was just dancing around it. It was like 68, 68, 69, 68, 69. Boom, 71. And he, cool as a cucumber, not even a big deal to him. Not at all. We're like, you did it, dude. You hit your goal. You hit your summer goal. He was like, yeah, I know.
He's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. Cool. He's super cool headed. I guess that's why he does what he does.
Your kid's awesome. We should have our kids on the show once.
Oh God, no.
Oh, you don't want to have my kids on the
your kids.
I don't know if I can get them. I don't know if I can get my kids to sit still for like 2 seconds to be on the show. There
are very few people besides my husband and my kid that can really get a rise out of me. Like they're so witty, and they know everything.
Like
about
a rise, me. Like a good rise.
They gang up on me, and it's bad. We have dark senses of humor, and it would not appear appropriate at all.
Hey, your hair is looking kind of blonde today.
I know.
Like where's the red? What happened? Is it sunny? It's
It
because it's
is
sunny,
there.
right?
It's really sunny in Texas. That's what happens when you move to Texas. You're perpetually tan and you start turning blonde. So
That's
don't
so
know.
strange. That
I'll
happens to
fix
me
it.
all the
I'll
time.
fix it. I'll fix it.
My scalp turns blonde.
Yeah.
Actually,
I
my
know.
scalp makes me a redhead because I burn.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I would imagine that's really difficult.
it is.
I have so many questions. And we
Okay, so
started late.
we did start. Should we bring in our guest?
Yes, please, please, please.
All right, so let's bring in our guest, but first we have to play our super cool theme song. Let's do it. Ready? Okay. Okay, everybody. Hey, how's it going? Who's our guest? Where is he?
Nick Baldwin.
What? I'm the
Holy
guest.
smokes. Yes.
Oh, man. What did you do to get me? Who did you have to call?
I had to pull some major, major strings. I'm just so honored, honestly, that you would spend the time with me this morning.
Oh.
And my first question, what does Nick Baldwin raw and uncensored mean? What does this mean? Nick expose.
I have no idea.
Does this mean?
I said, Jessie, what do you want to call this episode? She's like, I don't know, Nick Uncensored, the Nick expose, the raw Nick, I don't know, like the unfiltered Baldwin. I'm like, I don't know. Whatever. I'll just come up with something.
But I do have so many questions.
First of all, I'm honored to be here, Jessie.
Good.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. I'm honored for the time. So first, tell our tens of thousands, maybe hundreds by this point, of listeners.
Our tens of listeners?
Our tens of thousands, maybe hundreds by this point of listeners.
Thousands.
Yes. Tell us your real estate journey, because you are currently sitting in a basement, probably wearing cutoff sweatpants.
Well, first of all, I don't wear cutoff sweatpants, so I'm not really sure where that came from. I wear sweatpants and I wear shorts, but I don't cut my sweatpants to cut off. Yeah. Okay. I'm wearing, I'm actually dressed kind of, I have my Hope Dealer shirt, and then I have my Old Navy,
awesome.
What are these? Oh, camouflage sweatpants are super duper comfortable. I'm in my basement, but it's a finished basement. It's not like I'm in the dungeon.
I love it. I don't know why I was expecting you to show up in a suit or like a ridiculous tuxedo. Today for your interview.
It's not. No, I don't. I would never do that to you because that's not me.
I think that's hilarious. So you and mom. So you started with mom. Started in real estate.
Yeah. So let's go back. Go back. Okay. So my real estate journey. Well, I have a very long story, but I'll make it even longer just for you. No. I graduated high school and decided I wanted to move to Los Angeles to pursue my thespian desires. I don't know. That's uncensored.
Thespian desires. Yes.
No, thespian.
That's what I said. Thespian.
Oh no, thespian. Sounded like you said thespian. I don't even know what that is.
I don't know
thespian. Whatever.
Okay.
Thespian means actor. Did you know that?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, moved to Los Angeles right after high school, and I stayed there for about 4 or 5 years. I was, listen, it takes a long time to make it in the acting business.
Did you have any success out there as a thespian?
I had many successes at the thespian. I was a very successful thespian. No, so I moved out there because after high school, I went to an acting conservatory called the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. It's a very well-known conservatory in New York City. There's also one in Los Angeles. Many famous actors have been there. I have a lot of friends now who I was in class with who are now popping up all over television.
No kidding.
Yeah, like we keep in touch on Facebook. One of them was on Orange is the New Black for about the entire time. Another one was on The Walking Dead. So one other one plays a dad on a Nickelodeon sitcom. But the funny thing is, like, I left there when I was 19 or 20. Mm-hmm. It took them until now. I'm in my 40s now. Right? It took them to their mid to late 30s, early 40s to make. I mean, that's how hard it is to make it in the Hollywood.
And so you're saying this overnight success that was on Orange is the New Black, it actually took like 25 years. Yeah. Gotcha.
No. So Orange is the New Black is about 10 years ago. So it ended recently, but it was on for about 10 years. And so she was on the entire time. So I would say like, it took her a little bit of a less amount of time, but then a couple other people, it took much longer. But I love that they're seeing success now. One of them was on the L Word on Showtime. She was a regular on that. So like these were people that I was in class with. And so it's super cool to see them. But I was in LA for about 4 or 5 years, and I was a professional auditioner, which was a great gig professionally, going to auditions and waiting tables. And but I started to like get so close so many times. And if it wasn't for my dislike of Los Angeles, I would have stayed longer. The way Los Angeles works is, audition. And commercials, pilot season is a big season. That's when they cast for all of the pilots that there's like hundreds of pilots that they shoot for sitcoms and dramas, and only a handful of them get picked up. Maybe 25 or 30 get picked up. And so I did very well during pilot season, but not well enough to get a show. But I had multiple auditions.
What was so you did a pilot, but I
didn't do a pilot. What I was saying was, there's multiple phases of auditioning during pilot
callbacks.
There's initial callbacks, and then there's callbacks for the writers, and then there's callbacks for producers. Then there's callbacks for directors. So I actually many times went through. And they only call you back to perform for the producers and the writers and the executive producers if they like you. Yeah. And so I got, to the 5th, 6th, 7th audition many times. And then they're like, oh, we decided to make the role a female. And I'm like, oh my God. Or like, we decided to go with a really fat guy. Or the guy we wanted.
Did you get any good feedback?
Oh yeah. Like, no, if they say to you, we decided to change the role to a female.
Yeah. Then
you're not as upset.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do.
But there were many times where it got down to me and another kid or another guy. And I know that if I'd stuck it out another year, there would have been that big break. And my agent was super motivated for me. She saw, these things happening, and this stuff doesn't tend to happen very quickly. Like, people don't get that far in the audition process very quickly, but I just didn't like it there, But then I look at it this way. If I stayed, then I would not have been where I am now. I wouldn't have Anne. I wouldn't have my kids. I wouldn't have my house. I wouldn't have my other house. I wouldn't be here on this show with you. It's funny how you think of the way life goes, right? Like that movie Sliding Doors with what the heck's her name?
I don't know. I'm not going to know it.
Sliding Doors is a movie where the girl she misses her subway. The doors closed.
Yes.
And then it's like, what happens if she gets on the subway?
Yeah. Do you recognize those moments when you're in it ever?
Yeah. So there was one moment when I was young. I was probably like 8 or 9, and there was a show on CBS for about a year or two, and it was called Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah. And you remember it?
Yeah.
You don't remember it.
I remember the show Brooklyn Bridge.
Hi, Jessie's mom on Facebook.
That's my mother-in-law.
You don't remember the show Brooklyn Bridge?
I remember the show Brooklyn Bridge.
What was it about?
I don't know. I just remember it.
Okay, it was a show that took place in like the 1950s in Brooklyn. And it was a sitcom, but it was like a 30-minute sitcom, but a single camera sitcom. It wasn't a multi-camera sitcom. They wanted me for the friend, like the dorky next door neighbor of the main character. But I was too afraid to fly to Los. I was up in Rochester, New York, visiting my grandmother for the summertime. And they're like, we want Nick to come out here. We want him to do this. And I was 8 years old, and I was too scared to fly in a plane by myself.
Aww.
Because my mom wasn't with me. She was in, New Jersey. I was in Rochester, and I didn't go. But I would have gotten that. And then where would my, you always think about things like that, right?
Yeah.
Where would that have taken me, right? But you can't really dwell on that because I'm obviously happy where I am now.
Yeah.
And I moved back to New Jersey, I went back to college I went back to school when I was 24, 25, majored in exercise physiology because when I was in LA, I got really in shape because you have to be.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of weight and I got a personal trainer and I was like super had like zero body fat. And
wow.
anyway, I met my
Did you graduate? All right. Well, you met Anne in college?
I did not graduate. No, I didn't graduate college. I dropped out. Mm-hmm. And I met Anne when I was working in a bar. And it was in a bar that I was working in. I was going to college, working in this bar. She walks in. And
yes, tell me a love story.
Okay, I'll make this really quick because it is a long story. MySpace. Do you remember MySpace? Okay. MySpace. I saw this girl on MySpace and she was friends with a bunch of my friends. And I was like, I called my friend up at the time. His name was Skylar. I call him up at the time and I go, who is this girl on my MySpace with this smile? Like, that's all I had to say. He had how many hundreds of friends on MySpace? Who is this girl with a smile? Without even batting an eyelash or hesitating, he goes, oh, that's Anne. Just immediately knew who I was talking about because her smile is like you know.
Incredible. Yeah.
I go, I gotta meet this girl. I have to meet this girl. So anyway, he goes, oh, dude, she's best friends with Christine. Whatever, doesn't matter who Christine is. I'll bring her to Egan's. Egan's was the bar I worked. I'll bring her to Egan's. She goes to school. She goes to FIT in New York. I'll bring her and you'll meet her and we'll hook it up. So they bring her in and I get off work late, like around midnight at that point. And then I just like beeline over to her and sit down next to her. And she's having like a text argument with two ex-boyfriends. Actually, one current boyfriend and one ex-boyfriend. Long story short, we get to talking, and then the next day there's a party at her friend Christine's house because it was Christmas time, and I chatted with her, and I just like totally did something that I wouldn't normally do.
What?
I go, you are the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life, and I have to take you out to dinner.
Oh.
And she was like, okay. And so
wait, like you didn't ask girls out?
Not that way.
Okay.
I worked in a bar. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't a good boy.
Yeah, you're fighting them off constantly. Yeah.
But I said, you're the most adorable thing I've ever seen in my life, and I have to take you out to dinner. She said, okay. And she's like, I picked her up in New York in my car, and I took her to Sushi Samba, which at the time was like the place to go. It was like Japanese and Mexican fusion. And she was super impressed. She's like, I didn't think a bartender would like pick me up in his car in New York City, take me to Sushi Samba. And
for those that don't know, yes, so that having a car in New York City, like you're a rich person. Not even if you have the car, if you have the parking space, if you can afford to rent on a parking space.
So then I didn't see her for a few weeks because she went home to Michigan for Christmas. And then when she got back, I was going to Miami with my friend Skylar at the time. My uncle owns a hotel there. And we went to Miami. So I hadn't seen her. I didn't see her for like a month. And then about 3 or 4 or 5 days into the trip, we get a phone call up in my room of the hotel that my uncle owns. And the woman at the front desk says, Nick, can you come down to the front desk? There's a package here for you. So we go downstairs, and Anne and Christine, who Skylar was dating at the time, were standing in the lobby. They had flown to Miami.
Oh my gosh.
So, being the fact that at that point I was like madly in love with this woman because she was way beyond my league. So that was kind of
across the lobby and like lift.
I couldn't believe
one another up.
And then what did she tell me at the end of the trip? I'm not really looking for a boyfriend.
Bull crap. Yeah, right. All right.
But anyway, that's kind of how it started. And can I be honest with you? Unless one of us had like a trip to go on or something, we've been together now 14 years. We've been married for 11. We have not spent a single day apart, basically, and we've never broken up because a lot of people break up and get back together. We've never broken up, and
you guys are perfect.
Yeah, she's the best. Anyways, so that's my wife. Then
real estate.
Yeah.
Tell me about
Real estate. So anyway, I was working in the bar, and I was going to school, and I wasn't really going to school like full force, right? It was like one class a semester. So she's like, "Listen, if you want a future with me, you gotta. There's nothing wrong with bartending. It's a very honorable profession." She said, "But I can't be with someone who works till 3 o'clock in the morning and comes home and sleeps until 2 o'clock and then goes back to
Good for
work,
her.
right?" So it's like, I said, okay, well, I'll go get my real estate license and I'll work with my mother. And I went and got my real estate license, and I dropped out of college because I was making more money than anyone else in the class. Like I was, 25, 26, and
Yeah.
I was making six figures in a room with 18-year-olds. And I said to my parents, I'm like, I got to drop out. And they're like, okay, no problem. So I went full force, and, I never looked back. And then we got married when I was 30, and we had kids, and, the rest is history, obviously.
So forget about you. You have 2 published authors, I believe, in your home.
Oh, we do. Yes, we do.
Yes. Tell me about this. This is really exciting.
Okay, so my son Levi is 9, and he has Tourette syndrome. So if you guys don't know what Tourette is, most people think of it as the cursing disease. And,
Right.
That's very frustrating because only about 10% of people diagnosed with Tourette actually have uncontrollable swearing. Only 10%.
Mhm.
But that's what they think of because that's
what's in
the most
movies.
noticeable, right? So Tourette syndrome takes a very long time to diagnose. It takes about a year. There's another mental illness called PANDAS, and a lot of times people confuse confuse Tourette's for PANDAS, but the difference is PANDAS is only motor tics, whereas Tourette's are both motor and vocal. So for an entire year, you have to be evaluated by neurologists. And so, it's a whole thing. You go through a lot of testing. And so he has Tourette. And so, it's very, very difficult, but he is on a mission to bring more awareness to it. And he's not self-conscious about it anymore. Like people ask him, in school, his friends, why do you make those sounds? Why do you make those movements? Oh, I have this thing called Tourette, and my brain tells me to do things that I can't control. They're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's where the kids go. No, honestly, the kids are like, I've seen it. They go, oh, okay. Do you want to play tag? Like
kids,
they don't care.
Generally speaking, I think maybe you agree, maybe not, but over the last 20 years, kids have moved from bullying, and maybe we've been purposeful about that, to just being curious.
Well,
They're
there's
curious.
a lot of curiosity around it. They say, listen, hey, why do you do that? It's not like, why do you do that? It's, why do you, oh, well, my brain makes me do things that I can't control. And they're like, okay, cool. Want to play hide and seek? Like they don't care. And so my wife's very involved in the Tourette Association of America. They're a great organization. And they have taken a liking to Levi because my wife is one of the most vocal parents that they have seen, bringing awareness. So anyway, my wife wrote a poem with Levi about 8-9 months ago, and the poem is very, very good. And it's a poem about kind of like a Dr. Seuss style poem about having Tourette and having it be your superpower. And she's like, let's make this into a book. And she found illustrators, and it turned out the illustrator actually has Tourette also. So he was loving it, and it took 8 months, but now it's a book. You can order it on Amazon. It's called What Makes Me Me.
What Makes Me Me. Yeah,
and if you're listening to the podcast, I'll post the link for the book in the show notes. But we've sold, I think, about 100 copies already in the first several days. And so what my wife is going to do with the profits is she's just going to put it back into purchasing books to donate. So her school actually bought a copy, and she's going to, his school bought a copy. She's going to donate a few more copies. She's going to donate copies to schools in our area. She's going to send them to the Tourette Association. And it's awesome. The illustrations are awesome. It talks about, how these are my superpowers. I can't control them. And some kids, they'll point and laugh, but it's
good. It's so great. I'll donate to schools in Denton, Texas. I love it.
Sweet.
And you must be so intensely proud of them.
I'm very proud because My father is a published author. My mother is a published author. You know, we have a published author. My dad's a best-selling author. There's authors in my family, and it's so cool. Like the physical, we ordered the book, and it's like a real kids book. Like it's a
that
real
part is
children's
so
book.
amazing.
It's so cool when you get the physical copy. And I'm like, wow, this looks like it was published by like, Random House or something.
Yeah, there's something about that. I've watched newly published authors get their first shipments of books, and it's always tears, always a beautiful thing. So if you
good.
got a book deal tomorrow, and you had come up with an idea tomorrow, what would you write about?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, I think I would write about. I mean, I'm a big advocate of mental health too, because I'm a big giant mess, as you know. But I think I would probably. I think what I want to do is I want to create a. I don't know if it would be a course or a lecture or a talk or something around living. I don't like to say. A lot of people say I suffer from depression. I don't like to say I suffer from anything. I like to say I live with depression, anxiety, and ADHD, and my son lives with Tourette. Because you do. I think I would write about living with that. And while there is no cure and medication is my saving grace, I feel that without medication and then doing, staying healthy, doing the exercise, reading regularly, doing things that I need to do to keep my mind right, I would probably write a book about being an entrepreneur and living with mental illness, because I don't think we talk about it enough. Like we don't, we always see the Gary V's and the Simon Sinek's, even the Gary Kellers, and they're always up there smiling and being so positive. And first of all, that depression doesn't look like anything different, right? Let's look at the people who have ended their lives because of depression. Chris Farley, Anthony, what's his name? Anthony, the restaurant guy.
Yes,
Anthony Bourdain.
Kate Spade, Robin Williams.
Williams, right? Who would have thought that Robin Williams was going through that? You just don't know. And so that's something that's very important to me. And I think there's still a lot of stigma around what depression actually is, what anxiety is, what ADHD is, what Tourette is, what social anxiety is, all of these different things. And
is there a piece of that in admission? Is there shame in that somewhere? Like you're a high level, C-level executive, and you're so blessed, you're making so much money. Like, how dare you be depressed? Is that a piece of it?
You hear a lot of leaders saying that vulnerability is weakness, and believe me, it is the complete opposite. It is much harder to admit when you're not feeling 100% or when you've had a bad day to admit that you're happy and nothing goes wrong. There is a big problem in leadership, a huge problem. Leaders think I always have to be smiling and positive. That is a huge detriment to everyone else out there. If you put yourself up on a pedestal and act as if you're untouchable, that's going to have a worse effect on the people who follow you. That's going to have a very negative effect on their mental health, because they're not going to understand why they can't get to that point. Right?
It's going to stifle your own growth as a leader too. If you are not able to be vulnerable, cage up that heart, good luck when you need courage. Like that doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know where that came from. Like we're leaders, so we have to always smile and be positive and nothing ever goes wrong. And I see the problem in our industry too. Like you see a lot of mega teams and agents talking about how perfectly their business flows and how deals never fall apart. But I've had conversations behind the scenes with a lot of those mega teams and agents, and they say to me, I'm not in a good place. Like, why don't you talk about it? Oh, because I can't let it. Yes, you have to let people see that, because people are struggling, and they need to know that you struggle too sometimes. They need to know that.
They absolutely do. How do I don't know where it came from either. Don't know where it came from. And it was probably, I would guess, you were a team leader for 18 months, 19 months?
Yeah, 20 months.
20. I still speak in toddler speak, measure time in toddlers. So I would bet it's exacerbated then, right? Like everything is concentrated in that team leader position. We've talked a lot about that. So so how do leaders in general, let's go back to in general, protect themselves from that? Like what is the question we have to make sure we're asking ourselves? Like what is the mantra so we can show up as authentic, vulnerable leaders? Like what do you tell yourself? How do you do it?
I it's very important for me to be in business with people that understand what I'm going through. So when I became a team leader, I said to my OP, I go, I just want you to know there might be times where I can't come into work, not because I don't want to, just because I physically can't. And I explained, she's like, okay, yeah, like I get it. You're right. And so you just have to make sure that people understand what you're going through. You have to make sure that you are working with people who support you. You have to make sure that you're working with people who give you constructive criticism. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing worse than just criticism for the sake of criticism.
Can I argue with you on that point?
Sure.
I think the only thing worse than criticism for the sake of criticism is no feedback, no diagnosis.
Oh yeah, I agree with that too. Yeah.
Performance, right.
If you're doing so recently I had someone say, Nick, we're thinking of not continuing your training because we just don't see the value. I was like, really? I go, can you explain that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I had a couple of my team leaders tell me that they don't I go, that's interesting to understand that because none of their agents are on my calls. So if you're not participating, how can you evaluate whether there's value or not?
Right.
I go, so I disagree and I won't let you let me go because we need to have a talk with your leadership. If your agents are not on the calls for the trainings, then and they know how to, and the team leaders know how to access those trainings.
Yeah.
But they're just saying there's no value. They're saying there's no value, but they're not attempting to take advantage of the training. So I'm going to say
the piece of the value I'm hearing is they actually have to do the activity.
Right, I go, so listen, if your agents were all on the trainings and you saw no value, I get it, but they're not, and your team leaders aren't. So he was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. So I don't let people just, if I know that they're not giving it 100%, you can't possibly see value in something. You have to attend and evaluate and then come to a conclusion. So that was feedback that I didn't agree with because I know that they weren't fully taking advantage of what I was offering. You know what I mean?
Tell me about the world's so this has the world's sexiest title about the Facebook class. Tell me the title about the Facebook lead class.
My Facebook class? And
yes,
by the way,
yours.
your mom in the Facebook chat. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is continue your life when you don't really want to understand. Well, when you don't really want to. I understand.
Deep
your
thoughts.
Your mom's awesome.
It's yes, my mom-in-law is awesome. Love you. Back in Pennsylvania. Hi, Mom.
So what was your question? My class?
Yeah, tell me about the Facebook class. It's got the sexiest title in the world. So
sexy.
What is it?
It's about to get really hot in this room right now.
Yeah.
It's called 1 million a month in business with Facebook and Command. How hot is that?
That's awesome.
Well, I had to change it from 3 million in 90 days to 1 million a month because I launched it. When I launched it, it was 3 million, and now it's 5 million. So it's been 5 months since I was running these campaigns consistently. And the class is 3 weeks long, and it is 90 minutes to 2 hours a week. And we start with understanding the consumer platform with KW, because there's a lot of features, lots of ins and outs, and all of my campaigns lead back to the consumer platform. If you don't know how to use it as an agent, it's going to be very hard for you to create effective ads. And then the second week, it's creating the ads, using designs to make them look sexy, and then what type of ad copy to use, what you can advertise, what you should link them back to. And then the third week, which is the first session, the first round is ending today, is about smart plans and follow-up and scripts. And then in between that, you get access to a private Discord server where you can chat with each other and chat with me in between classes, and you get recordings of everything. And it's $249. If you go to 1millionamonth.com,
Awesome.
or is it 1 million per month? Hold on,
Oh boy,
I
we
have
better
to double
know
check.
this. Here,
It's
let me
1millionpermonth.com.
Okay.
You can sign up for the next round, which starts on July 28th. It's only $249, and you're gonna get so much value from it. That's what I've been told.
And when you say 1 million a month, what are you talking
volume?
about?
In volume.
In
not,
volume.
Not
so,
GCI.
So average sales price, 1 million a month in volume. How much money in your market is that going to make for you?
Here's what I have done, because I am not in production personally. So I'm running my mother's social media. I'm running social media for other agents, right? So this is the qualified business that I'm sending them through the campaigns.
Yeah.
So my total ad spend since February has been around $1,000. I've run 24 campaigns. I've generated 246 leads and 12 pieces of business, equaling 5 million in potential volume and between 125 to 150,000 in potential GCI. So I say potential because these are Facebook leads. And so when we qualify the leads, at first I was using smart plans, and then the last week or so I started using Conversion Monster because they just integrated with Command. So but the smart plans do work. So the thing is, they're Facebook leads, right? So to be qualified lead is someone who says, yes, I want to buy a house, and they give you a certain time frame and a certain price and a place. That's a qualified lead. They don't have to be pre-approved. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. They just have to want to make a purchase within a certain time frame, in a certain place, for a certain price. And when we get that information, then I send it to the agent whose ads I'm running for. And so the reason I say potential is because, listen, will they close? That's not up to me. That's up to them, right? That's up to the agent that I send it to. But they are qualified, and they are motivated to buy or sell.
Right.
And
so I know if you send it to me, I know that this person's qualified, and I know that they want to buy, say, within 6 months. And it's my job to check up on them and make sure I'm providing value until they're ready to buy for those 6 months. But it's not a long time nurture by the time you're sending it.
Well, that's the thing. It's typically a 6-month nurture, maybe 3 months sometimes. It might be a little bit longer sometimes. But the fact of the matter is, I say potential because if they all close, because I send these out to my referral partners, if they close, that's how much the volume adds up to. That's up to them. Awesome. It's up to the referral partners to close them.
Yep.
I know that if it were me still in production, I would close them, but it's not up to me because I'm not in production. I have a license in New Jersey, but I can't sell in New Jersey now. I'm 800 miles away in Michigan.
Right.
But I do have my mom, who just set 2 appointments over the weekend that came in from an ad that I ran her, and that was about $1 million. Oh, no. That was about there were 3. That was about 2.2 million in volume that my mom set physical. She actually set the physical appointments.
Yeah.
So
through Facebook ads in
through
Command.
The Facebook ads that
and
I'm running.
Mom is going to close them.
Yeah, my mom.
You know that
for sure. Yeah.
So let me ask you, who are I love this question. Actually, Johanna gave me this question, and I'm asking it of everyone. Everyone's looking for a particular who at any given point in time. Who's the person that you're trying to add to your life right now?
Who, like a person, a specific person, or the type of person?
Type.
Oh, man, that's I think all of the time, I don't necessarily think there's one type of person. But there is, but it's not like one person. Okay. It's like all I'm looking for in my life right now is positivity. Like positivity, the support of one another back and forth. I love boosting people up. And I don't expect that in return, but I also love when somebody respects you enough to boost you up, right? I'm looking for people who, a good test of someone who's a good person in your life is, and this is a great quote, is when they clap when you win. If they don't clap when you win, then that person's not good for you. So I'm always looking for positivity. I'm looking for people who are supportive. I'm looking for people who aren't in competition, in the sense that if you do something great, they will feel jealous of you and animosity towards you. I'm looking for people who are great communicators. I'm looking for people who want to have good conversations. I'm looking for people who want to learn and grow and get better. Those are the people that I'm looking for. And I think that right now we all need someone in our lives to tell us that, we're good people. Yeah.
Always.
Like,
And
yesterday, I think I texted Jessie and I go, have I told you that I'm super duper grateful that you're in my life right now? And I think I make Jessie blush when I tell her those things, because she's like, "Aw, thanks. Aw, shucks."
Yeah, I'm a high C. Compliment the work, not the person. Yeah,
I know.
Bright red, and I'm grateful for you too, and thank you.
Your face is redder than your hair right now. Oh, real quick before we go, I want to talk about my books that I'm reading. Okay,
good, please.
Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, there's a great new article in Out Front that just went out. It's Jay Papasan's summer reading list, and there's about 14 books on there, and I was really happy to see that there are two fiction books on there. One of them is Ready Player One, and good. I love when our leaders recommend fiction, because I'm big into fiction.
Yep.
I just read this, Jessie. This book. Okay, it's called The Push. And it's called The Push. It's a first-time novel. It's a Good Morning America book club pick. First-time novelist by Ashley Audrain. It's called The Push, and it's, holy moly. Every husband on the planet needs to read this book. Aww. Because it is about a woman who, it's essentially about after the woman gives birth. And it's a novel, but it's after she gives birth and what she goes through. And the husband doesn't really understand it, and she feels like people aren't hearing her, and she feels like there's something wrong with her daughter. Wow. Her daughter doesn't love her. And then they have a second child, and something terrible happens. And she blames her daughter for it. And, and then it's just about this marriage falling apart because the husband can't relate, or doesn't necessarily relate, but he can't handle it, and the marriage starts to fall apart. And it's just a story about postpartum and being a mother, and having people not understand what you go through, and it's heartbreaking to read. But it's a very important book for, I think, husbands or fathers to read, because it will really help you understand what your significant others are going through after they have a child, because having a child has a much different effect on a mother than it does a father. Even though we both love our children equally, it's a different emotional response. And it's an incredible, I read it in 2 days. I just blew through it. My wife's like, I'm so glad you read that.
I just looked at the rest of the list, and now I got to read all of the of the books, all of them.
This was a good one I read. The One.
What's that?
By John Mars. Yeah, by John Mars.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Okay, I cheated and watched it on Netflix.
Yeah, well, if you watch the show on Netflix, you can still read the book, because it's completely different.
Okay.
The One is about a gene that they discover in human beings that biologically connected them to their soulmate.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting book, because if you're already married,
right,
are you going to be curious to find out who you're really supposed to be matched with? It's a pretty amazing book. And this, by the way, is a memoir, the Kevin Hart book. I can't make this stuff up.
Oh yeah. I love.
Did you read this?
Comedians. No, I haven't read it yet, but I love comedy books.
They should make a movie of his life.
Oh yeah.
This book, I can't make this up, Life Lessons by Kevin Hart. It's written like a novel. It's hysterical, and there's so many lessons in it. So check that one out too.
I've got one question for the anti-guru, and then
Yeah.
I will let you go. So, what is the one lesson you've had to unlearn again and again and again that you learned in a leadership or business book?
The one lesson I have learned is to listen and stop talking. Like I have to, and I tend to be, and I have to watch that I don't get defensive, right? Like when somebody comes to you with something that you might feel is an attack on you, but it's really not. It's just something that they're telling you to help you get better. I've had to really work on just looking within myself to.
It's hard to look in the mirror.
Figure out, okay, I had the best intentions, but it didn't come out that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
We judge others by their actions and ourselves by their intentions. I asked you, I wasn't clear. I'm sorry. What terrible lesson did you learn that you needed to unlearn?
Terrible lesson or terrible habit?
Yeah, or habit. I'll take habit. What have you needed to unlearn that someone told you in a leadership or business book that you had to do, that you did, and now you have to unlearn that habit, or you have to unlearn that lesson?
So something that maybe I wasn't doing the right way. Is that kind of what you?
Yeah. What's a BS leadership lesson? Like something that leaders learn that you think is absolutely that you've proved to be crap.
I think it's completely ridiculous that I taught this when I was a team leader. Whenever you open your office door, you have to have a smile on your face. I think that's complete BS. Yeah. That's totally BS because, like I said, I think that also sends the wrong message to your agents. Right. We all have emotions, and so sometimes, and I wear my emotions on my face, and I think that you can't always be smiling. I'm a big believer of not feeling like I always have to have a smile on my face when I'm walking around the office. And now I'm not walking around the office with a frown, but I think that that's very difficult to do. That's basically pushing things down into your belly and pretending they're not there.
Do you think though it's sometimes more about like when we're consulting our agents, we can't give it downhill, right? So we've always got to go.
Well, that's not right. That's not what I mean.
You mean exactly what you're saying. Like,
you have to let people. You have to let people feel the way they're gonna feel. You have to let people be allowed to be upset, right? Like when people say, "Brush it off," have a 5-minute funeral. You have to let people process things the way they process things, right? So you have to let people react to things the way they react to things. We're not the same. And so that's probably what I was trying to explain.
Makes sense.
And you also have to stop coaching your significant other.
Oh God, it's so hard. It's so hard once you get questions. Yeah. I mean, they know. He's like, would you stop asking me questions?
Stop coaching your significant others. And just listen to them. Just listen. Yes. Sometimes they don't want the solution. They just want you to hear the problem.
I'd say most often. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Most often.
Most of the time.
Just listen.
Well, Jessie, I loved being interviewed by you. I think I should interview you next.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I'm an open book. Unfortunately, I'm just lucky that no one has asked me certain questions yet. So
we didn't talk about my love of musical theater. We didn't talk about my love of superheroes. And my wife posted on Facebook asking you to ask Nick about how he cries when people hurt Superman. Real quick, I'll end with it.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
But last night on Superman and Lois, Superman got beat up, and I don't like that. I don't like when Superman gets hurt. Like he's a beacon of hope. And it's like when Superman gets hurt, that's like everything that's good in the world crashing down. However, it is good that he gets hurt because he doesn't mean he's invulnerable, but it just makes me feel so sad. It just makes me feel so sad because I love Superman.
You've got a giant heart for people.
I
I
love
love you, brother. Thank you for letting me ask you questions. I could do this all day.
I'm going to the Virgin
Okay.
Islands next on Friday, so I won't be here next week.
Okay,
Do
I'm
you-
gonna go live in the group. I'm gonna take
Oh, you
over.
let me know if you want to go live and do the show.
I'm going live,
Okay.
doing the show.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you for
Nick,
listening.
you're awesome.
You're
Love
awesome.
you, brother. See you later. Bye.